How did you accidentally get your ex back in bed? I had just broken up with my girlfriend and I was reeling from the fact that she had dumped me for a guy I didn't like, a real jerk. I was at a ball game and saw them across the gymnasium of our high school, coupled up, holding hands. She looked at me, then looked away. He smirked. I got up to leave. It was a good game, but I wasn't into it. I went outside in the cool air. I felt like someone was following me. It was a girl I knew, who was in the class below me, a junior. She was about 18. I will call her Courtney. I thought she was fine, but she wasn't my type. She was too quiet and had a strange way of looking at the world. She was really friendly to me, though, and her best friend told me she liked me. Courtney had caught up with me and asked me why I was leaving. I told her about my ex and her jerk boyfriend. She really seemed to pity me. You know, I can be good company, she said, hopefully. I really looked at her for the first time. She was tall for a girl, almost as tall as me. She had shoulder length, sandy brown hair and freckles. She had a really great smile, with pale blue eyes. I don't know why I didn't notice her before. Suddenly she grabbed my arm and snuggled up to me. As she did, I felt warmth radiating from her body. It felt comforting. I noticed my ex and her BF coming out of the gymnasium. I knew they were following me to annoy me, probably his idea. She said, "Are they following you?" I said, "Isn't it obvious? No one is leaving the game. Let's get them back." She said, "How?" I observed my ex watching Courtney and me carefully. Her brow knitted in a frown. It dawned on me that my new friend had a great idea. "Okay," I said. Courtney mused, "I could pretend to kiss you." "No, that would not work. She would know we are trying to get back at her." Courtney then suggested that we fake me getting a blowjob. I was shocked to hear her say that. She was always so shy. How would we fake it? "We could go to your car and I could drop to my knees and do it." She is bound to believe it. Without another word we walked to my car, holding hands, and she reached over and kissed me in the mouth. Her lips were warm against the now snappy autumn air. I wouldn't mind having those lips somewhere else, I thought. Then I felt guilty because I had never even really noticed her before, and here I was picturing her as a SX object. When we got to her car, we kissed again, to make it look real. I opened the car door. We stood just inside of it. Then she dropped to her knees. She fumbled with the string on my sweats. I looked over to see my ex's mouth gaped open. Her boyfriend was pulling her arm, possibly trying to get her to go back inside. But she wouldn't budge. I knew I had her and really began to relish this unexpected revenge. I leaned my head back and closed my eyes. I made a few noises like I was being pleasured by Courtney. I could see the jerk boyfriend go back inside. My ex had her arms folded and just glared at me. Then, she started toward me. Courtney had been really getting into it, even bobbing back and forth, her head just visible over the car door. She was actually just softly bumping me repeatedly with her mouth. It was starting to feel good. Suddenly, the string on my sweats loosened and my sweats fell. My underwear was no protection against the cold air. My member began to swell with excitement, because I didn't know what Courtney was up to and because my ex was coming. I didn't say anything to Courtney, who pulled my underwear down, looking up to meet my eyes. She looked at my meat, which was now hard enough to nudge her lips. She put her lips on it, giving it a kiss while looking at me. She then put her entire mouth on it. Her warm lips and tongue felt so good. My ex had just reached the car. She stopped in her tracks as I looked over at her through glazed eyes. She looked at Courtney, who was oblivious to her presence. Then, she said softly, "But." Courtney slowly pulled her mouth off of my swollen sausage and said, "Yeah, it feels good to be his butt." She then put her mouth and hand back on me and sucked me deeply while looking straight at my ex. She had a little smile on her lips. "I didn't mean that," my ex said. Then she considered me. "You know, if you want 2 girls, I'll be happy to share you." I coolly remarked, "You can't share something you no longer possess." She wheeled suddenly and huffed back inside. Courtney sucked me faster until I came in her mouth. I had never finished so much. She could barely hold it all, but her blue eyes were smiling at me as she gulped my seed down. I helped her up and we kissed. Her mouth tasted like me. I pulled my pants up and she tied the string. We walked back into the gym, hand in hand. Working so much I was just sort of letting Emily and Chuck plan everything, and I had not planned a date night in a while. I decided I needed to be more active, so I planned a date night for last Friday. When I first told Emily, she was excited, as we had not been on a date, just the 2 of us, in a while. Friday, I got home at 6:30, and Emily and Chuck were not there. I took a shower and got ready. About 7:15, I finally called Emily, as we had reservations at 8. She answered, and when I asked where she was, she said she and Chuck had gone shopping and were getting some dinner. I was kind of stunned and asked about our date. She laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot." Oh well. And that was that. She didn't even invite me to join them. So, a point I should make here, my dad was very controlling of my mom and had an anger problem where he would yell and throw things. He never threw things at us, but it was still scary as a kid. I have worked very hard to not be like him. I've tried to never be controlling of Emily or tell her what to do. I also tend to shut down when I get angry. When Emily forgot our date, I was mad, so I didn't say anything right then, but I knew I needed to address how I was feeling. So later that evening, I told her we needed to talk. I had written down some things so I could stay focused. I started by saying that I loved Chuck, and he was always welcome in our home, but that I felt like our marriage was suffering and we needed to work on us. Emily blew up. She thought I was attacking Chuck. I guess I didn't word things well, and she started defending him and attacking me. We have never had a big fight before, we always talk and work things out. I was stunned that she was attacking me. She said some awful things. Then she said, "Chuck is my soulmate, and you just have to get used to that." I just shut down. I didn't even know how to process that. I love Emily more than anything in the world, but in that moment, I realized she loves Chuck more than she loves me. I thought Emily and I were soulmates, but to hear her say she considers someone else her soulmate has been devastating. I don't remember the rest of the talk. She huffed off after a while and slept on the couch. She and Chuck left together on Saturday and were gone most of the day. When they got back, she acted like nothing had happened. On Sunday, she even made a small joke and batted her eyes at me, something she does when she's flirting with me. Normally I love it, but this time it just made me sick. I told her this was a busy week at work, and I was just going to stay at a hotel near the job site, something I've done a few times before, so I haven't seen her since Sunday night. I don't know what to do. Typing all of this up has made me realize I am really burned out with all of this travel. Maybe I checked out too much and haven't given her enough attention. But how do I move forward knowing she will never love me as much as I love her? Also done my due diligence to take an old laptop, which we kept on our desk in an office area with a full view of the living room, bedroom door and bathroom plus the kitchen. I had set it up for remote access and had it alert me when the webcam noticed movement. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, I thought he may be dropping something off or coming over to assist her with something, as her family sometimes does. Sure enough, a message came through, so I remote into my laptop. He walks through the door without skipping a beat. She unbuttons his shirt and begins kissing him. I created a URL link for the live stream. And as she was preoccupied, we had a family group text and a friend group text. They were both part of it, but at the current time, they were currently indisposed and didn't look at their phones. They didn't even wait. They could have gone to the bedroom, but no, they decided to get freaky deaky right there on the couch. I sent the link off to the friend group chat and the family group chat. Within minutes, I'm getting calls nonstop from friends and family alike. There was no turning back. She was getting blown up, but she was ignoring her phone. Not until the fourth or fifth call came through did they decide to take a break. For context, the state I live in allows recording of personal property regardless of occupancy. I was the only one on the lease. She wasn't allowed to be on the lease because of poor credit. The call she had picked up was from her cousin's mother who she was banging. She answers the phone on speaker, and I kid you not, the first words out of his mother's mouth were "Stop fucking my son." They both became rigid, and she began to stutter over her words, saying, "What are you talking about?" etc. The mother then divulged that there was a live feed of them sent out by me to her family. She grabbed every pillow off the couch and covered herself up. The cousin staggered off, trying to put on his pants and shoes, just to trip himself up and bang his head off of my coffee table, leaving it with a divot. By this time, I had made my way to the front of the apartment complex. I was there to greet the adulterer as he came out of the front exit. He froze and began to cry, apologizing profusely. I'm not going to lie, what happened afterwards wasn't my best moment, and I nearly got into legal trouble if it weren't for the fact that he was trespassing on private property. Let's just say I had a cast for 6 weeks, and he wasn't in any family photos for months. I went up to the apartment, where she was now fully clothed and crying inconsolably. I asked her if it was snot or cum on her face. Then I told her not to answer because it didn't matter anyway. I gave her 1 hour to remove all her belongings, as again, everything in the apartment was mine except for clothes, some makeup, and a few kitchen utensils. Her mother would not let her move in, as she was just filled with embarrassment. Same for her brothers, and the cousin's mother kicked her son out. Rumor spread around our town very quickly, and for a lack of better words, she was untouchable.